Hey everybody, social media family, power to the people, same people that is, being whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions of society or lifestyle preferences, being of which is closer to normal, at least if not that much more like so. You know. Yeah. So I say to you all being my social media family of any subscribers as well as any visitors to that being of my own social media channel and a likewise chat room or comment section. You know, like so far as addressing you all being a person among yourselves, with that being of this basic intro as in introductions. Well, forgive me. Excuse my name, my friend. Well, that is, I apologize for the butchering of the English language as we have it of the American dialect, or for my rather incorrect usages of it thereof with all this grammatics or linguistics or whatever I have said or whatever it's called. I never promised to have become, I never claimed to have become or be an English major, neither nor an English professor. So my bad, let me say and state for the record and extend that apology so far as that is concerned. But getting back to some such other, yes. I'm sorry that I'm kind of like speed dialing the basic intro as an introduction to what I meant to say, trying to get the preliminaries out the way, but then you all know that I wish you all well regardless, But I wish to dive into that of the present social media broadcast or video or whatever I have said as soon as possible, ASAP, so that I could bring to that being of your attentions, the most recent life crisis being of which I myself had become subjected to experiencing. And as I had mentioned it in a couple, few or two or three other, did I mean to say, had I meant that? No, that is, excuse me, hold up, somebody's popping up. Notification so far as broadcasting their own video, and I have no time for, or a little no time for it at the moment, especially with me being in the process of, broadcasting that amount. But then, and getting back to some such other, as I was trying to say, I was interrupted. Well, hopefully not by the likes of a proverbial neighbor from damn hell among the dime a dozen public nuisances, problem neighbors. But then, anyway, the ways I think of it with that in my mind, to try to backtrack here. Reason or purpose being in order so that I can go on with the following, to try to continue from where and when that my person had last left off, so I can finish up and complete a form of previous fire line thought before I were to lose my train of thought. Yeah, I had mentioned that being the same within at least a couple or two, rather than a couple, few or two or three other former previous social media broadcasts of video, and as it is dealing with involving regarding and making reference to how that of my person has been given the walking papers, paperwork documents, an eviction notice, being in which is official enough in its own right until I were to get the more official one. That's stating that I would have to vacate the premises, and due to a misunderstanding, on the part or as it has taken place or happened between me and the management of the building or real estate representative personnel, having confused me with the very proverbial neighbor from down hell among the dime a dozen public nuisances problem neighbors, who violate their apartment rental lease and all the while, and at the same time they disrespect the rights and privileges of their fellow neighbors of other tenants or residents. And as this one particular proverbial neighbor from hell has been attempting to drive me, being that of my person, completely bonkers for the longest, and not only that, but then likewise out of house and home, he has somehow managed to successfully flip the script upon me as he continues to assume that he has a legit personal vendetta, a grudge match with that my person by having the management of the building give me the paperwork documents of an eviction notice that he himself much rather instead should have been given. Well, that was a mouthful. So I wonder that I can still, compose my thoughts regardless of how I'm feeling. Quite, well, you know what I mean to say. But then I'm trying to not by means of my own power, but of not just a power, but the power greater than any others. Being of our Lord and Savior Christ, the Messiah deliverer, as I am myself personally am a believer in. The Rabbi of rabbis, the Lord of lords, the King of kings, the Prince of peace. Yeah, and whereas this one proverbial neighbor from hell, getting back to him and all, right. Whereas it's bad enough that I have to, because from time to time he blasts his radio. I don't know if it's of his own personal possession belongings or provisions or personal effects belonging to possessions or somebody else that he could have borrowed, more likely, more often not. A possible and potential accomplice in crime among the likes of his kind, those to be possibly considered, or one of the accomplices in crime of his, then to have to hear all those other noises, that he makes, because I don't usually hear any radio or television in his place rather than apartment. If anything, more often than not, I hear the noises otherwise. So the bumping and the stomping, the extreme excessive noise making, a bumping and stomping, dropping things on the floors, dragging things across the floors within the atmosphere of his place rather than the apartment for his principal properties. The banging on the pipes is what I mean to say. Excuse me. Correction. The banging on the pipes, the running water at odd hours of the night and so forth, And just to attempt to get on my nerves, like Wes, when I go to the washroom to try to relieve myself, then he wants to, make it be known that he is present as if I could ever forget, with his crazy, well, he's more creepy than crazy. He is, not so much as crazy as I thought if he could manage to flip the script on me, and I think he would, creep that much more than that crazy when he feels that it could prove to be to his advantage, and whereas he has most recently put me to a disadvantage, like say, because I say how you say, whenever he gets to can on like so, practically, it's not possible whenever, I'm like, hey, could you cut the noise making down, and so forth, And whereas if by chance I could rant and rave otherwise after he could have possibly that much more pushed my emotional buttons, whereas I could say, well, he want to act crazy, so I might as well give him a dose of his own medicine, You blah, 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 blah. Hey, quit raping and molesting boys, before I have to come for you, make a citizen's arrest and all that, blah, 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 And then whereas he would take that as his cue or a chance for him to call up the management, go to the apartment, go to the apartment for floor level. This one neighbor is ranting and raving like a crazy man, a lunatic, a maniac. Like a mad dog, foment mouth with rabies. You gotta. But whenever I call them, whenever I call them, the management of the building, they take their own sweet time about going to his apartment, to investigate matters of my complaints or stated grievances about his person as a character, carrying on with all the extreme and excessive noise, making different sorts of types, being the bumping and the stomping and the dropping things on the floors and the dragging things across the floors and the banging on the pipes and etcetera. Understand what I'm saying? So, make a long story short. Or long story short. So see, but then if I have to go into further detail, then I would extend discussing matters in this regard in reference to so far as the present life crisis. So they come to my apartment door. They on outside. Listen, Eavesdropping. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, this will never do. Oh. Even if I want to give this same neighbor a dose of his own medicine and be like, man, I'm like kind of crack. I'm like old school, man. You can't play me like that, man. I'm like, man, I come from the old school of gangsters or hoodlums, man. I should have put a bullet through your head. You know, you want to mess with me? Well, hopefully, if only at some given moment in time, he could attempt to trespass my premises and properties. You know, as in make like an intruder or home invader, you know what I'm saying? Like so, that nature. And if I were to be strapping, otherwise, I would be ready to knife him to death as a matter of self-defense, that is. And hopefully, only as a matter of self-defense, or, you know, knock him out with something similar to a Louisville slugger. You know what I mean? 2x4. And likewise, as a matter of self-defense. Oh, this man, this tenant or resident is really out here. He's talking about killing people. And then where's the neighbor? Otherwise, the proverbial neighbor from hell is smiling. Yeah, I got the management to creep outside his apartment door and listen to him rant and rave. Yeah, that's it. Keep on mouthing off now. It's only be a matter of time before they were to give you paperwork documents that he should have gotten, you know, of an eviction notice, you know, so that you get kicked to the curb, because he's thinking in this rather twisted, warped, wicked mindset of his that he has a legit personal vendetta, a grudge match with that my person, who has never done anything to this crazy motherfucker. Is that what I mentioned? No, I'm supposed to be trying to get right with God, so I have to rephrase that. Crazy MFer, you know. This insane SOB bastard. No, I can't say that either. But I think you all get the general idea of what I'm saying in due regard on reference to this Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal-Lecter, male character, the real life version, compared onto the film or movie flick or Hollywood, California, or hollyweird, California motion picture production. Hollyweird, I say, because the majority of most celebrities are weird with how the majority of most of them have sold their souls to the devil so their immortal human souls to the devil for fortune, fame, and friends. But then getting back to the original subject matter or topic of discussion to be debated or given an argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing thereof, you know, speak, continue to regulate my mind, compare my speech. And as I go back to where and when I had last left off, you know, to finish up as incomplete, that the aforementioned, prior mentioned line of thought, being of the same and the said in question. Not that I mean to sound so much like, you know, the religious TV show, religious program called, I think if I do recall correctly, recollect or remember, Wretched, you know, the white boy that be like going about his religious broadcast. That's the name of the religious TV show, Wretched, you know. And oh, what a wretched soul I feel like at the moment being it, because I have to be bothered with now that of not only apartment searching, but I have to prepare to move all of my personal effects, belongings, and possessions, and hopefully in due time to a new apartment. And hopefully I will have that much less of a chance to encounter just another proverbial neighbor from hell, one of the dime a dozen public nuisances problem neighbors, like what I have to put up with here, being the likes of his kind. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I mean, this guy or fella has gone all out of his way to not only attempt to make my life a living damn hell, but then to drive me completely. For the kind of character, no offense meant to the much more familiar, mentally challenged, who would have more of an excuse for being the way they are. But to have me, you know, become a B, other likes of a character that are former or ex, twice impeached, but yet twice acquitted president of the USA would make fun of, It had me looking like I'm doing a rendition of Rihanna's Disturbia music video or something. I don't know. No, I'm not meaning to be funny, I'm trying to take this all in stride. I mean, as God has not given us the spirit of fear, but has given us power, because it's caused me so much problem. I think that I'm going to have to do all this apartment searching once again. I have to go through all the changes of moving my personal effects, belongings, or possessions to hopefully a new apartment in due time. Before I want to probably become homeless. And I'm no stranger to that, I'm no stranger to that being homeless before. I'd never been homeless by choice, Feeling all congested and everything. Forgive my tears. I've never been homeless by choice. Last time I moved, it was been because of a proverbial neighbor from hell, or the likes of his kind, or one of the dime a dozen public nuisances problem neighbors. Whereas when I moved here, I thought that everything would be okay. Oh, I finally got away from that proverbial neighbor from hell. That being as he is, that character, the likes of his dime a dozen public nuisance problem neighbors. Only to have to come here and be bothered with another one, like practically and possibly shortly after. Whereas all of a sudden I'm hearing the boom, 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 same thing. Boom, 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 boom. Goose stepping on the floor. Did I mention that? Well, so I do. So now, in addition to the other, the bumping and the stomping of daily and nightly routine, the dropping things on the floor, boom, 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 dragging things across the floor. I'm like, what in the damn hell is going on? You son of a! Hey, could you cut the crap out? This is not a public park. This is a residential building. You have to respect the premises. This is not somewhere where you could play sports. You don't own your own military base. You don't own your own sports gym, Understand what I'm saying, you all? Don't steal my trademark. Then I had yet to copyright this here. That as it is, me. But anyway, though, getting back to some of such other. So I'm like, oh my God. Here we go. Same old thing. Once again, coming from the likes of the same old kind of characters of neighbors, or proverbial neighbors from hell, or public nuisances of problem neighbors. This particular one being one of the worst, or one of the worstest kind, sort, or types. Forgive me for butchering the English language and American dialect again. I say, I never claimed to have become or be an English major, neither nor an English professor. So this is where I'm at as of the present given moment time. I'm having to prepare for another move. Trying to buy my time while I'm here. Save up money, not only for moving expenses, but also so I could pay rent elsewhere, and hopefully with that much less of a chance or risk of acquiring just another proverbial neighbor from hell. I did say that correct there. Proverbial neighbor. Of the likes of public nuisance. The same kind, being the likes of characters who violate their apartment rental leases, and at the same time, or all the while, however it said, they themselves harass, intimidate, and or persecute, or terrorize and traumatize, or bully their fellow neighbors, And this is one crazy MF, or more creepy than crazy. More creepy than crazy or stupid. You can't be all that crazy or stupid if he has managed to flip the script and have me be getting the paperwork documents of eviction notice, being of which he should have gotten, much rather instead, in the first place, or to begin with. So now I'm back at square one. You hear what I'm saying? Hold that thought. If you're going to, that somebody's popped up in my notification comment section, chat room, that's associated with this particular social media broadcast video. If you're going to tell me something, speak English, none of that spam, or I will first of all silence your chat and then block you. I see the word rent. Well, hopefully one is giving me some available information, as in apartment vacancies, that I could look into, because I'm going to have to hit the street, or as Garrett would tell Dannon, hit the street. Ba, 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 ba. Let's go take care of the necessary business hand. Ba, 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 do, 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 ba, 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 ba. And here it is. I'm being confused with the very character, with or without any accomplice of crime of his, but more often not, he has accomplices in crime, of troublemakers in the building. Whereas in his rather twisted, warped, wicked mindset, he assumes that he has some kind, sort, or type of a legit personal vendetta or grudge match with me, being that I'm my person, Or I think I had informed your persons otherwise, being on my social media family subscribers and any visitors to that, being on my own social media channel, and likewise chat room and comment section, how at one time or another I called the police on this joker, and I have called the police on him a number of times with little nor avail, as well as I have complained, as in stated my grievances, to the management of the building. At one time, and a number of times, likewise, as well. At one time or another, when I called the police upon him, and whereas they were supposed to be, going to his apartment to find out why is he acting so crazy. Well, he acts more creepy than crazy. Well, he will only act crazy when he figured that he could attempt to use it to his advantage and put me at a disadvantage. So at one time or another, I called the police upon him, and they were supposed to be discussing matters with them as to why he's acting out, with his usual noise making. Like I said, the extreme and excessive bumping and stomping, dropping things on the floor, dragging things across the floor, all that kind of crazy shit. I was about to say the SH-T word, Sorry about that. Supposed to be trying to get right with God, though I don't really feel that Christian at the moment. Though I am a Christian. I feel more like the lesser two evils than a prodigal son, Whereas the worst two evils is any of those closet devil worshippers, being of whom make up, the worst is closet devil worshippers who make up most or the majority of churchgoers, being on whatsoever religious denomination, from the proofs to the pulpits. Anyway, getting back to the last mention. So, that's before the last mention. Let's backtrack. Here we read no purpose being in the wrong department to continue from where when that my person had last left off, so I can finish up as in complete a form of previous pride. I thought this ain't this work. So the police goes to his apartment and to try to discuss with this insane, or crazy, well, more creepy than crazy person of a character. Why is he carrying on, violating his apartment realm lease, and at the same time, or all the while disrespect my rights and privileges as a fellow neighbor of a resident tenant. Then from there, after I didn't discuss matters with the police, so they can discuss matters with him, after the police had come to my apartment, knock on my door to let me know that they're present and that they're ready to discuss the problem that I'm having with this one particular neighbor. I hear a second knock on my door, and I'm thinking it's the police that want to ask me some further questions about him, and it turns out to be he himself. Yeah, knocking on my door, and then he says in more words or less, I would appreciate it if you had discussed matters with me before you had called the police. I'm like, what freaking planet are you on? I have nothing to say to you. All that I have said, I have already discussed with the police. I have nothing to say to you. If you were a sane person, we wouldn't be having this problem in the first place, whereas I would have to call the police on you. What part of that don't you understand? I was speaking English of the American dialect, not a foreign language, And what makes you think you have the right, the audacity of you to knock on my apartment door to try to act like now you want to discuss matters with me like some kind of a sane person, when all the while knowing that you're insane or crazy or more creepy than crazy, more creepy than crazy or stupid, you know. I mean, why all of a sudden you want to discuss matters with me about the problem we are having when you have for the longest bumped and stomped, dropped things on the floors, dragged things across the floors, you know. And this to the goose stepping, etc. And then after I done told him what he did, guess what? He went back to the same old routine, you know. Then it was just goes to show he wasn't being sincere, you know, because he's a crazy motherfucker. Oh, let me rephrase that. Because he's a creepy motherfucker more than the crazy motherfucker. Steaming and scamming, driving cannot. No, let me rephrase that again. Sorry about that. Because he's a creepy MFer more than he's a crazy MFer, you know. He only thought to try to pull the wool on my eyes. Like I'm supposed to open my apartment door. As far as I know, he could possibly attempt to physically attack me if the police had already gone from the premises properties of the building. And I'm like saying, nothing doing. I'm like, hey, look at here, Joe Palooka, Joe Schmo, Joe Schmuck. Could you please get away from my apartment door before I were to have a man's intentions, however said, to call the police again on a certain particular neighbor, namely you who earthed somebody. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm dealing with now. You know, I'm having to prepare. I am prepared for an upcoming move. I have a deadline. Been given something like a couple few months, more or less, give or take. Be I were to get lawyers or attorneys involved or not. I've been trying to get in touch with this one law firm or legal attorneys, you know, among their business competitors that deal with housing issues or for that of a probate real estate court. And I haven't managed to make contact with my left numerous voicemail messages with them, and they haven't picked up as yet. And I'm trying to get this all nipped in the bud ASAP as soon as possible, because my life is on the line, literally, actually on the line. You hear what I'm saying? The very reason for my person having said that for the last mention, you know, and to explain why I think that way, and at the same time inform you all, has been that because the homeless persons who represent the homeless statistical racial percentiles or percentages of those who are worse off than just poor and needy, but homeless, don't have a place to go to, don't have a place to call their own, a place, a residence where they themselves could possibly pay monthly rent, utilities, and home phone service fee bills, as well as any other fee bills. You know, they don't even have a place to rent an apartment, let alone having, you know, gone about purchasing their own home or house. They don't even have a place, a resident of an apartment, you know, to call their own, you know. And whereas, as I'm hearing it, not that I'm a stranger to the homeless predicament or dilemma, but I mean, I've never been homeless by choice. You know, last time I'm either having to move of my own volition or being confused with a neighbor from damn hell like the one I have at the present, you know. But anyway, homeless persons, they are much more likely, more often than not, that much more than the average person, to become subject to experiencing not only, you know, verbal and physical assaults or attacks coming from the criminal element of any given society, country, or nation, representing the global community for this post-911 era of our new millennium apocalyptic day and age, where the doomsday clock is at a couple few minutes to midnight, compared on top form previous for prior to then, it was at a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. But also, they have a much greater risk of being harassed by certain police officers who are supposed to go about, you know, complementing their business company model, being which is to serve and protect, and do the very opposite, you know, and as they would be labeled as corrupt police officers or dirty cops, you know. So this is where I'm at, you know. I'm having to prepare for another move, unfortunately, and this is causing me, quite a bit of mental anguish and physical trauma as a believing guy. So how much more it would cause me if I was still an unbeliever, non-believer. And my hair standing on the ends and so forth. Got me looking like, you know, I'm either the boyfriend or fiance or hubby dear or Raggedy Ann. I hope I don't be looking like some such worse yet as a homeless person. So I have a deadline. I got to prepare. And before the summer months were to kick in. With this calendar year of 2022. So if any of you all, my social media family, any subscribers as well as any visitors to that being of my own immediate personal social media channel and or chat room and comment section, know of any landlords who are looking for new tenants who could possibly pay annual monthly rent on a regular basis, like say drunk, high, or sober, then let me know. Put it in my inbox. Leave your information, But don't be popping up in my comment section, coming off like one of these here internet trolls, I have no time for that. Though I will make little or no time for it, especially seeing how, I'm living a life crisis at the moment, being in which I had become subject to experiencing, whereas my life is on the line, whereas I have a chance or stand the risk of becoming homeless, And that's not a walk in the park. Pardon the pun. None had been meant, none was intended. It's not a walk in the park, it's not a picnic, That's a rough lifestyle. To compliment the saying of carrying a stick, that means literally, actually, physically at times, a homeless person would have to carry a stick, before one were to get the chance to successfully make it to a rescue mission shelter and then toss the stick elsewhere to use it at another time when one could possibly have to venture out in the street during some early morning hour and to, yeah, to hold that thought. To make sure that one isn't find the 2x4 that I had before. Sorry about that. To make sure that one is not attacked by some riffraff. You know what I'm saying? Some riffraff of the criminal element or a fellow homeless person. That could be upon some stick and move, snatch and run, robbery kind of thing. But then I heard in the news how they're most recently installing, security guard detail of personnel upon premises and properties of a mass transit public transportation system. Once again, I don't know why they stopped having them upon the premises properties in the first place. For different train routes, not necessarily for the bus route, because everybody's more compact than how the train cars are spread out like so. Yeah. And due to the fact that there has been an increased number of robberies of other passengers, of their cell phones, laptops, not to mention the wallets and purses and etcetera. And for mass transit of public transportation with many different bus and train routes for where I'm at for that of CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. Yes, I'm within the city limits of Chicago, Illinois, USA, for the Midwest of the USA of our supposed or so-called democratic republic or democracy, being which may as well not be any better than that of the former Soviet Union or USSR, being of which is now invading the Democratic Republic of Democracy of the sovereign nation of the Ukraine, because Mr. Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, President Vladimir Putin of Russia, wants to come off like our former ex-president of the USA, being Donald J. Trump, not so much as crazy as some or such would think, because although he was twice impeached, but yeah, he was twice acquitted as well. But now they are trying to, press with criminal charges against him as well as pressing, criminal indictments against his former ex-lawyer, a former ex-mayor of the city of New York. What's his name? Giuliani, something like that. But anyway, though, I'm gonna wrap this up, you all. So this is what I'm going through at the moment. I'm having to find for myself another place of residence, before I could possibly, be pushing up the pearly gates, as one of these street characters. You never know. Well, God forbid. God has not given us a spirit of fear, and there's no weapon formed against us shall prosper. But then good things and bad things happen to each and every one of us, But as long as I'm trying to get right with God, that's the important thing. As long as I have my salvation, regardless of what could happen to me, I were to get it from another street character or the likes of a proverbial name from damn hell who could be moonlighting. That's one of my stalkers as well as strength caller. I were to get it from a dirty cop and get one to the head, and this supposed so-called Democratic Republic or democracy of the USA that has yet to check these dirty cops that much more, as well as any corrupt politicians, and that's including if our president-elect could be possibly foul or could be the worst of two evils than our former ex-president of the USA or president of DC. Hey, but then you all take care and be blessed, And if you haven't gotten, first of all, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing or realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some such Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, being of a religious and political or military nature, etc. Centurions and Caesars, as well as religious Pharisees and Sadducees. But then that's where she went to that cross to carry, become the perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. So if any of us being on whatsoever race and whatever walks of life, fashion, or society, lifestyle preferences, being of the old and young, like both two sections, the male and female, represent not only the human species but the global community within this post-911 era of a new millennium population. The populated day and age where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight compared on to our former period prior to them was a quarter midnight for at least by biblically that time. Were to profess so much faith in him, you would not have to worry about ending up in the lake of fire damn hell with the rest of the unsaved unbelievers and unbelievers down for all eternity to be tortured and terrorized by devil and demons. But you will be across the great divide that separates heaven from hell in the company of God and his angels as well as fellow believers in God. Peace.